Better luck next week, yeah, because they're starting.
Well, I mean, I obviously wanted to start.
It's so good. It's so good. You got it. Gav, look.
$700.
Gav, look it.
$700 down the drain, but it's worth it. By the way, for those
Giant.
listening, I'm holding
Beautiful.
up my new PS5.
You now can't eat.
Still within the box. Yeah, I probably can't eat for the next month, but
it's so beautiful though.
it's gonna be so worth it. Oh my god.
Like, watching the most recent Horizon Zero Dawn trailer.
Did you see that?
Oh my god, it looks so good.
Yep.
It's amazing.
That I don't often pre-order video games. That will be like the third game I will have ever pre-ordered in my life is the next Horizon game. Because the first one was not good. The only other games that I've pre-ordered were The Last of Us Part 2 and I want to say Assassin's Creed 4. It's been a while.
Not a thing you often
do. No.
I mean, it's definitely a good one to pre-order.
That is a game that I will pre-order.
I'm going to wait until I'm off cycle because for my entire life, I've always got it as soon as it comes out. And the problem is that I get them as soon as they come out. And then a year later, they come out with the version or the, pro version or something like that. So I always end up not having that one because I bought one a year ago. So I'm going to wait a bit longer. Also, so there's a bit more games for them and stuff like that because there's not that there isn't games. There are games, but not that many. There's not there's not any games that make me so excited that I have to sprint out of the house to go and get.
I was thinking about waiting a little bit and like waiting till maybe the price dropped a little bit and stuff like that, and they came out with some other hardware or something like that. But this console, like from what's already starting to trend in technology, is the removal of disk drives. Like we've already seen it in laptops, and it's starting with game systems now because you can get a digital only version of the PS5. And I wouldn't be surprised if within a year they just don't release a version that's a disc version, that they just release a.
This I mean, this is a completely non-podcast argument, but this then leads to a conversation of what point do the places like GameStop, Game in the UK, at what point do they cease to have a value? Because it must be cheaper for the games producers to put out a digital copy. Because if you think about the supply chain of a digital copy, if we're making a video game right now, all we have to do to put out a digital copy is send the file to PlayStation and go, here's the file.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
If we want to put the game in stores, which I still think there'll be an element of game in stores, but you've got to make the disc, you've got to load the data onto the disc, which means you've got to have a production facility to do that. You've got to produce the box, you've got to produce the artwork on the box, you've got to produce the little manual thing that goes inside. All of that has then got to be shipped in mass around the globe for it to then be on someone's system. So all of that money is eating into the profit where you could buy it for the same price digitally. But why, if the game's 20 quid on the PlayStation store and it's 20 quid in town, why am I going to drive into town to buy it for 20 quid?
Yeah. It's all fair. I personally just prefer owning physical copies of some of my games. Like I had pre-ordered a physical copy of The Last of Us Part 2, but because there were production and shipping delays because of COVID, they effectively canceled my physical copy pre-order. And I was like, okay, that's weird. I guess I'll just pre-order a digital copy then, since you're going to be like that. But like, I don't know. I just like having, I don't need a physical copy of every game I own, but having a physical copy of some of my favorite games, like the old Assassin's Creeds, The Last of Us, the first one, stuff like that, it just feels like it's more, I have it, right? Whereas if it's on my file, and my drive gets wiped, or my
Yeah.
cloud gets wiped, or my account gets wiped, or whatever, I've got to go through this whole process of getting my stuff back, or all this headache crap that people seem to forget that they'll have to do if they just store everything on a cloud, or stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. But there's also, I think, one of the little things that I get with. I mean, you guys are both PlayStation, but I'm Xbox as well. I have one. Is that something that Xbox have released on the Xbox Game Store? Is basically all the old games and stuff like that. Or to be honest, some of them are only
What a loser!
I think Sean's having some internet issues.
Yeah, because I haven't seen him move.
Isn't that with That's with Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, but what that means is that you press on let's say for right now, I boot up my Xbox and I want to play
Really?
Call of Duty 4. If I press on Call of Duty 4, it downloads 5 gig, which is a tenth of the game's size, and plays the rest on the cloud.
Is it working?
Yeah,
Is it working?
You're working now.
So PlayStation Now is the same concept.
Yeah. But you could be playing,
Right.
You could be playing a game in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Compared to, I want to play COD 4. I haven't got the physical copy of that. Let me drive into town, which is 10, 15 minutes. Walk to the place, pay for parking. Walk to the place where it is.
Pay for parking. Wow.
Pay for it. Yeah, you can't park anywhere in the UK for free.
That sucks. Imagine having to pay for parking to go to the shop.
Yeah, it's all just a big.
Well,
I'd much rather have a digital copy.
Well, but PlayStation Now is the same concept, where they have a ton of old games that you can just click on and start playing. But even, if you buy a game, you still have to wait for it to download, and based on your internet connection, God knows how long that'll take, anywhere from 20 minutes to 12 hours. Or longer. But... Sean, did you have a comment on this subject before we actually get going?
I don't even know if I was working or not.
I feel
felt
like
a loser at one
like
point.
You
And I
did.
just, whatever. It's all good.
You were sat really close to your microphone for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. No, we can start talking about stuff.
All right. Well, welcome to Better Luck Next
My
Week.
internet's falling apart.
Okay.
No, it's not even my internet. I'm using my data hotspot.
Are you?
Yeah, because we don't have internet.
Oh, well,
Our internet just stopped working.
If you need to drop out to save some data, then that's okay. Unless, I don't know. Do you have unlimited?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, past the 25 gigs, yeah, but I only have 6 gigs left.
Oh, okay. Well, that's gonna go away rather quickly, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, welcome to Better Luck Next Week. Monaco was last weekend. We had 2 shows last week as well. And Sean is both physically dying and having his internet mess around as well. It's going to be an interesting one. So Monaco was last week. We had
frame by frame slow view of Sean's sneeze.
Yeah, it's like It's very
Funniest thing, it's not even my internet, it's just my acting.
Yeah. That's what you call tableau sneeze.
Yeah. Okay. Monaco was Monaco.
It was, wasn't it?
It was.
Well, I mean, we didn't really expect anything else. It was just cool to see different people on the podium.
You're right. Some of us did not expect anything else, like me, who called Verstappen winning. Let me just put that on the record.
Yes, Verstappen did win.
I told you something was gonna happen.
If you have your notepad, you can tally up how many points you got based on
1,250.
So you get 1 point for having Verstappen's name down, and then another point for having him in the right spot.
Okay, so 1,200 points.
That honestly, the start of that race for Leclerc, it hurt my soul a little bit because
he didn't start the race.
He didn't start the race, but I put it on about 45 minutes before while I'm prepping some snacks and stuff. and he was doing the outlap, and you just kind of, the entirety of Monaco was so happy to see him. And then he came down and it just went ping. I don't want to be a car anymore. And you were just like, no.
I think maybe it had something to do with him smashing into a
That probably
wall like
didn't.
a moron.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Can you?
I mean, on purpose, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He did
Okay.
that on purpose, right, Gav? It's just totally.
Just-
He did that so that he could win the Grand Prix. Oh wait. He couldn't drive it. I also
Ouch.
put this a little bit on whatever engineer decided not to check the left side of the car for any damage, because you make an impact on the right side with the right drive shaft, it's gonna jam its way left and
Wait, you mean
probably
momentum is a
make
thing?
contact with something.
So, right.
And it broke the left drive shaft, and oh look, he can't drive now.
The engineer in the room needs to have a conversation. So,
With himself, yeah.
yes, no, the FIA had a conversation with Ferrari where they were told that they could inspect the car and replace any damaged parts. But the problem with that is that you can inspect the parts, but most of them are either carbon fiber or tungsten or aluminium. Now, the problem with that is that you can look at the outside of the part, and you can look at the outside of the part, and the outside of the part can look perfect, but you don't know what's happened inside of it. The only way you can do that is by putting it under load. Now, what the FIA said to Ferrari was that you can do all the engine diagnostics you want, you can turn the engine over, you can do all of these things. You cannot run the car. They couldn't drive the car. They couldn't put the car on the wheels, on the ground, and drive it forward or backwards. They couldn't put it under load.
Right.
So
Why would they do that? What's the purpose of that? Like, you're gonna prevent somebody from actually fixing their car at that point.
So the problem is that to make a car go fast in qualifying, you set it up a certain way.
Yeah.
To make a car go fast in a race, you set it up in a completely different way. Because in qualifying, they're only running 5 kilos of fuel, whereas in the race, they've got 100 kilos. So the weight balance is
right.
So cars are put in what's called parc ferme, which is once you park them that night, you can't touch them until the race the next morning. Now, this is definitely in F1 because there's stuff they have to do, but basically they have FIA inspectors with them at all times on the car, watching what the guys do to make sure they aren't changing anything. They can repair things and change consumables, but they can't change the car. So it was a deal with the FIA that Ferrari struck, was that they could repair the car, but it had to be exact specifications. So as they're doing that, they can take the parts off and they can look at it. They can also run, they can plug the computer into the gearbox and check everything and all that kind of stuff and look at it, but they can't actually open the gearbox up, look inside of it and see if everything's okay. The same way that they can't really, they can't look at the drive shaft. They can't really, in reality, you change the drive shaft. But if an FIA inspector looks at it and goes, well, that's not damaged, why do you want to change it? What argument have Ferrari got? We
Right.
change it? Or why?
Yeah.
It's a intact and safe part. No. So it's bad for Leclerc because he hasn't actually finished his home Grand Prix in the past 5 years. This year he didn't start it. The really
This
painful
year he gets pole and just
the really painful thing is Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin have both completed more laps at the Monaco Grand Prix now than Charles Leclerc.
gross, man.
He does not have the best luck with it either.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Apparently, as well, according to some of the media, once the car stopped and he'd gone and chatted to Ferrari and done the debrief, he went home.
Nice.
He walked from the circuit to his house, and only when there was about 12, 15 laps to go, and it was evident that Carlos Sainz was going to be on the podium and he needed to be back to support his teammate, did he walk back. He went home.
That's hilarious. Well, it's like who's the guy who finished? He like DNF'd and then he just got out of his car and went to his yacht. Was that Raikkonen?
Oh yeah, that was Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah, it's so good.
Crashed.
I would do the same thing. I'd be like, you know what, my yacht's right there. I'm not going back to the pit. Just
This was when he was with Ferrari, and it was pretty evident Ferrari weren't going to keep him on for the next year, and the Ferrari was having a lot of problems. So he crashed the car, and instead of going back and talking to Ferrari and went, "I crashed the car," and they would go, "You crashed the car," he just hopped the barrier, got on his yacht. Apparently, he didn't speak to the team the rest of the weekend.
He's a legend.
Got on the yacht. He got on the yacht, which had no Ferrari personnel on it. No one from Ferrari spoke to him. They let him cool off for the rest of the Grand Prix.
Like his 12 wives and 9 husbands. And
when they tried to call him, or when someone tried to come onto the yacht, they just set sail, and he was gone until anyone else spoke to him.
Oh man, that's brilliant.
That's absolutely something I would do.
Just peace out on a yacht. Bye.
Yeah, you just royally screw up everything. You just go, okay, I'm out. Yep.
Nothing
hop on my yacht. Goodbye.
Don't talk to anybody. Just exit stage left.
Bye.
Literally, just keep your helmet on the whole time. Just leave. Get on the yacht.
He's just shirtless. He's got some board shorts on. And he's just helmet fully on, tanning.
Yeah. He's just it's just like the Stig.
The Stig, yeah, I was gonna say. That's so good. And then you're gonna say something about Hamilton being in 7th and something about the radio.
I want to say, by the way, first before, because a lot of people are really like saying a lot of stuff about Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris at this point. There was literally from me rewatching the footage. What happened was that Daniel Ricciardo was meant to be one of the last guys to go again in Q, because obviously the circuit is getting more and more rubber down, getting more and more sticky. So he wanted to be the last person to go in Q2. He had the pace. He wasn't as fast as Lando, but he was only 0.3 of a second behind. And then he's coming round his lap, and the timer's ticking down at the end of Q2, 13th. And then no one, he can't see the timer. He's just pottering around the track waiting for McLaren to tell him to go. And with about 10 seconds to go, and he hasn't even made it around the last corner yet, McLaren go, "Oh, you need to go if you want to complete another lap." And he's just like...
Thanks, good. Guys.
Yeah, great.
Appreciate it.
So, and then a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, he finished 13th and was lapped by his teammate." He was lapped by his teammate because his teammate was running in 3rd. He was stuck behind everyone else, couldn't really do much about it. And it's a very, very tight circuit,
Well, speaking of, trying to segue, it's not going well, but Bottas's wheel nut didn't come off.
It has come off now.
Yeah, 48 hours?
Are you going to segue saying, speaking of tight, let's talk about Bottas's lug nut?
48 hours.
Yeah, that would have been better, actually, Sean.
That's... I was like, that's a good way to do it.
I was going to say something about the...
Speaking of tight, have you seen that lug nut?
I was going to say something about the course being tight and how that I don't know. It fell apart in my head. Kind of like what Ron McLean had happen a couple days ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm trying to power through here, guys. Give me a hand.
Yeah.
Go. Here.
48 hours, 31 minutes, and 32 seconds later, the pit stop was completed. That's how long it took them to get the wheel off.
I feel like now every race that they do, they're going to have to bring something along to just help with getting that lug nut off.
The thing that I felt bad about as well, which I was like, wow, Mercedes, was they said that this was Bottas's fault.
Nice.
Basically, what they said was that it was because he pulled up a couple of centimeters short of his line where he's meant to stop, that the guy with the pit gun, instead of coming on at a 90 to 45 degree angle, came on at a 35 degree angle. And because he came on at a 35 degree angle, that caused the nut to be rounded.
Yikes. So it didn't even have, because we were talking about this before, and we were talking about how it was possible that the gun had switched to go the other way. It wasn't even that.
They're saying that that's a factor, but
Okay.
the thing they're saying is that basically, as you see the car come in, if I'm the guy with the pit gun, he comes in at that 35-degree angle, spins it to go, because normally the pressure of the gun just pulls it into line. That stripped off all the teeth. He came back off, went back on, and for our listeners and stuff like that, they the guns have a technical shuttle on them. So as soon as they've ran in one direction, the brain of the gun goes, okay, well, the next thing is going to be, I'm set on loose. Right, I've taken the wheel nut off. I'm now going to put it back on, which is why it does it automatically as on a servo. So he then went back on and it was in the off, at which point it went the other direction and completely fucked the wheel nut. After that, he then pulled it off, slapped the side of the gun, brought it in, tried it again, and all that kind of stuff. And my favorite bit was the guy behind him bringing him another pit gun.
Yeah. Do you want to try this one?
At which point the guy looks up at him and goes, Bottas obviously frustrated. This is a difficult one because this is one of those things that is a freak accident.
What a loser.
It shouldn't really happen, but
no,
it does.
It's like Leclerc.
Are we getting a Tim Hortons sponsor on this episode, Sean?
No. Just Tim Hoare.
Tim Hoare. That's good.
It. Tim Hoare.
Yeah, we love that.
Anyway.
And canceled.
For those of
Love
you wondering,
Canada.
Sean
I'm holding up a Tim Hortons cup, and it just says Tim Hoare on it. It has nothing to do with any Tims or any special.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a painful one for Bottas. This is difficult because he'd qualified very well. He was almost guaranteed a podium. This would have been great for him because he's got a podium and his teammate finishes in 7th.
Yeah, he out-qualified Hamilton for the first time in a while, right?
Yeah, this was one of the ones where he could have clawed it back a little bit, but didn't happen. And now the problem for Mercedes is that everyone has sort of figured out how to get back at them a bit. Their massive lead has gone. And the next circuit, in my opinion, is one that is going to kind of be very similar. It's only 2 weeks away. They aren't going to have time to change too much, really. The cars are going to be very similar. And if they were having problems at a narrow street circuit, Baku is another narrow street circuit. It's not Monaco. You can overtake round there, but it is another narrow street circuit. It's another, you get it wrong, you hit a wall kind of place. So that'll be interesting to see. Have they figured it out? Are they going to get it wrong again? Because they didn't know what they were doing this weekend. It just didn't seem to go right for them.
So just getting back to Bottas, we've discussed the idea of Russell replacing Bottas as early as next season.
Yeah.
And there's a Grand Prix blog site that's just posted an article saying, F1 commentator, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, this was David Coulthard.
Russell signs for 2 years with Mercedes as Bottas replacement. And I mean, David Coulthard, he was talking about his own experience as well. If I'm remembering the right interview that I saw with the right guy.
This was from the On the Marbles podcast, which is I'm referencing something else where he discussed how, would you rather because he was replaced. Yeah. And it was, when were you told your contract wasn't going to be renewed? And then how, would you have preferred not to know for the most of the year, or were you given any kind of
notice, and how did you feel about it? And he basically said, well, I was given a full year to know, and I just kind of carried on.
Obviously, these guys are professionals. They're still contracted. You don't want a driver that is, if you turn around to the driver and go, we're not giving you a contract next season, and then the next race he plows it into the wall on purpose, that person hasn't got a drive, and you're just going to turn around and go, right, we're voiding your contract because you're being a dick, and we'll bring in the reserve driver. I think that I can see where people like David Coulthard are coming from, in the fact that there is an air to Bottas this year of, I frankly don't give a fuck what Hamilton's doing.
Well, because, he's been the second priority. It's been kind of trending like that for years, where he's always been second priority, even when he's actually in a better position than Hamilton is. Yeah. It seems like Mercedes still fights to get Hamilton up to a better position, and then goes, oh, Bottas, we know you're in first, but you really need to let Hamilton by.
So I think this probably stems from quite an unfortunate. This is all hearsay and stuff like that, but it's something I've been thinking of. Was that the year that the first year that Hamilton won his championship with Mercedes, he had a group of engineers that had been, a group of mechanics that had been with him for a while, and a couple of engineers that had been with him for a while. The next year, the year that Nico Rosberg won it, Hamilton arrived to the first Grand Prix of the season to find that every single one of his engineers, one of his mechanics, was now working on Nico Rosberg's car. He was very upset about it. Because basically what Nico Rosberg had argued was that he must think that, the mechanics must be making a difference, someone must be making a difference, that's why Hamilton's beating him. Nico Rosberg was quite famed for playing his mind games. He would play mind games with Lewis Hamilton. Like they would go into the team debriefs, and Nico Rosberg would purposely say things he was feeling about his car when he had the same setup as Hamilton that were completely wrong. Absolutely completely wrong. Like, if the data showed that the car was oversteering, or that, it needed a lot of front brake bias, or all that kind of stuff, or that the aero needed to be better at the front, Rosberg would say that the opposite. So he would say, oh, a car needs so much more aero at the rear. But he would only do it when he'd beaten Hamilton. Now, that for the team is a problem, because Hamilton goes, I want this, which is the inverse of what the driver that's going faster is saying. So that what they would do is then set up Hamilton's car that way to what Nico Rosberg said.
Right.
It would make the car even slower. So I think after that year when Nico retired, and it was then going to be Hamilton and Valtteri, I think Hamilton's had a conversation where he goes, I'm not the number two. I don't, you never put me second in a decision ever again. And I think that's
which is fair, but I think Bottas is really tired of that at this point. And yeah, it's an accident what happened in Monaco.
Yeah.
But it's just like, really? Really?
Well, I think the stat was that Hamilton hasn't DNF'd in 54 races, and Bottas has DNF'd in the past 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
Which, if you're Bottas, is quite annoying.
Yeah. So I think it might be getting to him. But we'll see. By the way, I do have to say that this article is not referencing David Coulthard. I think what I was referencing, though, was Coulthard. But this article's referencing Russian Formula One commentator Alexei Popov.
Yeah, he's Alexei Popov. So there was a podcast called Off the Marbles, which is with one of the Sky Sports commentators, and then it was Mark Webber and David Coulthard, and basically it's them traveling around, found that they can't go to the hotel bar anymore and get drunk. So it's basically three of them.
That.
Yeah, it's three of them talking bollocks in a hotel room doing a podcast. Not too dissimilar to what we do, but they're all famous, so it gets a lot more views.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But David Coulthard basically said that he thinks that Bottas is wrong. Because the earlier that you tell the driver, the better opportunity the driver's got of going somewhere else. And if
the Bottas is done, sorry.
So what they think is that Bottas has been told, we're not renewing your contract next year.
Right.
We've signed a deal with Russell. You've now got a year to drive the Mercedes, yes, and do well at it. But effectively for Bottas, this is a year to show himself off to other teams. And the best way he can do that is by beating Lewis. Right.
And then if Mercedes turns around to him in a race and then goes, well, you need to let Hamilton by, Bottas is going to be like, up yours.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's going to be difficult for him to do because he has to tread the fine line.
Right.
Because, there'll be a bit in his contract or something like that where they can decide how much practice he gets, and spontaneously he'll only get qualifying to set a qualifying lap, and it'll be a pain in the arse. Or,
it's too much.
It's going to be. It's a difficult, tricky period.
Quite a lot of politics.
Too much.
Yeah, that's like just politics.
So we'll preview Azerbaijan next week because it's not till the 6th. So we've got a week off from Formula One.
Yep.
Let's jump right into hockey, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Stanley Cup playoffs are rolling along. The first round is basically done. We've got Vegas, Minnesota, Game 7 tonight, and then Toronto, Montreal, Game 6.
Well, what time's that at tonight?
On Saturday. I think it's at like 9 or 10. I mean, it's a West game, so...
Is it in Vegas?
Yeah, it's in Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think Vegas is going to win. The Vegas crowd is unmatched in the NHL, in my opinion. Maybe close second is Nashville, but Vegas is probably going to win. They should win. They're the better team, but they keep playing without players. And also, by the way, deployment is an issue with a lot of teams when we talk about putting players on at the right time. And I noticed in Game 6 when Minnesota suddenly took a 3-0 lead in the third period. And so Chandler Stevenson is the first line center for Vegas. Apparently he's been decent, but Chandler Stevenson, first line center, is not something I connect right away. But regardless, I mean, you have Mark Stone, one of the best defensive forwards and forwards in the league, like top 10 probably. And Jonathan Marchessault, who's had a bit of a quieter year, but is still an elite offensive talent. And there's 5 minutes left in the game, less than that, and you're down 3-0, and neither of those players have broke 17 minutes. What are you doing?
Right, and then meanwhile, the inverse is like Joe Thornton causes every goal against possible, and Toronto just lets him play like it's
literally every goal, man. He's the reason that the first goal against was scored again. People.
Oh, again? Yeah.
Yes.
I unfortunately missed the game. Well, fortunately missed the game.
So everyone was talking about Rasmus Sandin came out from behind the net, tried to skate up the boards a little bit, took a big hit from Corey Perry, but got a pass off. It wasn't a good pass, but he still managed to get it ahead of himself into the feet of Joe Thornton, who went, oh, where's the puck? And then it's in the back of the net. And I'm like, bro, man, like if that's anyone else, the puck's out of the zone.
Yeah, it sounds pretty Toronto Maple Leafs.
And then Sandin coughed up the second goal as well because he was behind the net, stopped, and then took an extra second to try and play the puck, put it right into the feet of Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who put it out in front of the net, and they scored. And I'm like, oh, these goals aren't even good, man. Like the Montreal Canadiens, they're not scoring goals that are skilled 90% of the time. Yeah, Nick Suzuki came in, wired a nice goal.
Are handed
low blocker. That was beautiful. That was game 4. But most of their goals are off just shitty turnovers that the Leafs have. It's just like, coughed up the puck, and then suddenly it's in the back of the Leafs net because Jack Campbell can't recover in time because he's like, oh shit. Suddenly I need to be aware because my guys had the puck 0.2 seconds ago. But my biggest issue with last night's game, everybody's also, again, talking about, the Leafs didn't play hard enough. Matthews isn't performing. Marner isn't performing. All this, that, and the other thing. There were 2 penalties in last night's game. 2 penalties in last night's game. Montreal has taken 16 penalties going into game 5, and they take one in an NHL playoff game. And same with Toronto. I'm not absolving Toronto of this either. 1. The Leafs had 13 penalties going into this game. Mind you, at least 3 of them were puck over the glass. Like the
Classic
Leafs
again.
Right. But so on top of this, like the penalties that the Leafs are taking are like puck over glass, too many men on the ice, a tripping penalty, stuff like that. It's all accidental penalties.
Yeah, I mean they're dumb. They're dumb. Penalties.
Yeah, they're dumb,
really
and you need to. And you're
penalties.
like, come on, man! Like, don't lift the puck up over the glass. Get your stick out of his feet. But a lot of them have been incidental penalties.
Right, and they're not being Tom Wilson. So
right, they're not going in and cross-checking people, and I mean they are because everybody cross-checks everyone in the NHL. But they're not getting called for cross-checking. They're not taking interference penalties. Slashing penalties, all this stuff that Montreal is taking. And when the broadcast is actively showing highlights of blatant missed calls and then going, well, it was a really hard-working shift from Brendan Gallagher, I'm like, no, it's interference, man. It's not hard-working. The puck's 25 feet away from him, and he's throwing Matthews to the ice. Like, what?
Yeah, well, like I said, this is just like a classic case of the referees taking charge
just
over
dictating
how the
game.
Story is. Yeah, they dictate the story of the game and the series because the series hasn't happened since '79. So it's crap. It's the same thing with the Oilers and the Jets and their triple overtime. You could have called 15 penalties in the 3 overtimes. They called absolutely nothing.
You could have called 4 penalties.
Stupid puck over the glass penalty.
4 penalties drawn by McDavid alone.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, the slash across the ankle that broke a stick. Like,
yeah,
I don't get it. And then you notice the opposing Jets player looks at the ref, sees that the arm's not up, so he goes, okay,
right,
cross checks right in the back, and that's how you get huge injuries. Mm-hmm. Like, this is how you get shit that people don't like staying in the NHL.
It is astounding how they can do this. I know Gavin wants to make a point, so
I
hadn't noticed.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
I'm not as much of a die-hard hockey fan as you guys are. And I can, when the ref turns around and goes, I'm not going to call that because it didn't affect the game. Now, there's an element of that in rugby because every now and again in rugby, like when someone's getting up, there'll be a guy who pushes another guy's head down as he stands up and all this kind of stuff. But the ball is 600 feet away, so they go, don't do that, and they move on with their lives.
Yeah.
The one that got me was that the Leafs were obviously trying to change the pace of the game because when they were playing the first 2 quarters, it wasn't periods, sorry. The pace of the Leafs was different to when they scored their goals. There was a different pace. There was a change. There was a change in pace and they figured it out. They go for a fast break and one of the other team's players shoves the Leaf player in the back to a point where he lands on his face and skids in front of a referee, and the referee goes, "No, I'm not gonna do anything about that."
Yeah.
Now, okay, that's fine if that was in kind of the state of play and the ball was static somewhere else, and okay, him being on his knees for a little bit didn't really affect it. But the reason that guy was on his knees was so that he was then not part of the fast break, because the one guy went down the ice on his own and then wasn't able to score. Now, if he had another guy with him, pass off, you score maybe. That's the kind of thing that needs, affects the game. If I can watch the highlights and sit there and go, I'll use a sacrilege term, as a not a, diehard hockey fan, if I can go, that's a foul, that's a foul, that's a foul, that's a foul. If I'm sitting there and going, that's definitely a foul, then the diehard fans are going to know it's a foul and going to spot more than me. And
lose their minds.
And the referees should be calling a lot more.
Because we've talked about this before, where it alienates the diehard fans, and then it prevents new fans from even understanding the game. Because you go,
right,
why is playoff hockey the complete opposite of any other regular season game? And we know the answer as diehard fans. We get it. Where they try to dictate the story in the playoffs. You got to have this hardcore hitting, really fast gameplay where, injuries increase because these guys are going full tilt. They got, 4 months usually to gain their steam back and recover from any injuries. And so they go full tilt, and that leads to more aggressive play. And the referees just kind of go, okay, well, more things are probably going to happen in that kind of play. So we'll just let it go because this is for the Stanley Cup. But within that comes risk of severe injury if you don't do anything about it.
And it's just the simple fact of you're ignoring the rules that you literally called.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
This was a huge issue for me in the triple overtime game, was that you had the Oilers and Jets where there were constant pretty dangerous plays. You break a stick over a guy's ankle, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I get the guy's not in the play, but you got to call that because you didn't call that. Then you didn't call the cross check. You didn't call the 14 interference penalties. You didn't call anything against McDavid. He's being held the whole time. And then the one call you have to make is puck over glass.
That's why
you only have to make that because it's the most obvious frickin' rule that's written down.
Yeah.
And so it's well, if you don't call the other ones, then how can you actually call this penalty? Because it's you're taking liberty with the rules anyway. So whatever.
You obviously haven't been watching the game, and now you're suddenly involved, referees.
Just pretend
right?
it went off the other guy's stick.
Brendan, to go back to the Leafs game last night as well. Brendan Gallagher specifically was highlighted on the broadcast committing multiple interference infractions. Multiple. Mitch Marner's trying to break up the ice with, I think it was Matthews, for a fast break like Gavin's talking about. And Brendan Gallagher just kind of slides into him, knocks Marner off his stride, and he can't get there. Interference. And then back the other way, earlier in the game, right off the top, Montreal's on a fast break, or on a breakout, and Matthews is kind of behind the play. Gallagher knocks him down so that Matthews can't come back and defend and be a part of the play. That's interference. I don't.
The thing for me with this, sorry, I'll get my point across eventually, is that
sorry, Gavin.
You can play a game where a player gets fouled, but it would be in a disadvantage. So let's take that guy, that play where the guy gets cleared out on the fast break. Now, really, in the Leafs' point of view, they don't want the penalty called then because that ruins the momentum of the guy going up the ice.
Well, they'll have the puck in that sense. If they have the puck,
you do what you do in rugby, which is the ref goes advantage,
right?
At which point the play plays out. If at that point Toronto, ping it off the back of the glass and it doesn't go in and all that kind of stuff, and the players develop to a point where the fast break is no longer an advantage, then the penalty comes in. You can still have a game with momentum because it happens all the time in rugby. In rugby, I remember once I got kneed in the side of the face coming off a scrum.
Nice.
And as I was being
explains a lot.
Yeah. as I was being kneed in the face, I yeeted the ball upfield, at which point one of our guys caught it. And all I heard was the call of advantage as someone stepped on my neck as they ran after them, because you can't step on someone's fucking neck with studs on. We scored, and then the ref came over to our captain and went, well, you scored, so you negate the penalty.
Right. Yeah. It's the same concept in hockey.
Yeah. Same concept.
Yeah. So I just don't understand. I've written it all down. I do understand. Like game 1, the Leafs had 5 penalties and the Habs had 4 penalties. 3 of them were puck over the glass for the Maple Leafs, but 5-4. Okay. Awesome. Game 2, the Habs take 6 penalties. The Leafs take 1. That to me also makes sense because the Leafs are a much higher skilled team who are being beaten up effectively by the Habs. So the Habs are going to take more penalties because they're a bigger, slower team that can't keep up with them. So they're going to take infractions, right? Mm-hmm. Game 3, it's 3 penalties for the Leafs, 4 penalties for the Habs. Game 4, 4 penalties for the Leafs, 2 penalties for the Habs. And then they just throw out all the rules that they've called in the previous 4 games for game 5 and just call 1 tripping penalty and 1 interference penalty on Brendan Gallagher. He finally got an interference penalty after all the other shit that he did. And like, and those are just power play opportunities also. That doesn't count any like coincidental minors and anything like that. That was just power play opportunities.
Right.
I cannot get my head around how you can be like, as the referees, as the officials of that game, how do you go home and think that you've done a good job? I
don't
get it.
This is but see, this is where like I don't think it has anything to do with individual referees. I don't think it has anything to do with their mindset in the game. It's at this point, it's consistent throughout every playoff game. And like I said before, this is an issue with the Department of Officiating. Somebody needs to do something about this garbage.
It was
if
probably
you're gonna let
mandated.
this like if you
because
100%, they all meet up and they say, hey guys, okay, so the playoffs are coming up, so we want less calls on the ice, unless it's super obvious affecting the play or affecting a player's ability to continue in the series. Probably like if you don't break the guy's ankle or wrist, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Well, and you say continue in the series, it's exactly what probably the NHL, certainly Rogers, would be happy with if the Leafs and Habs go 7 games.
Right, and you see that's another issue.
Viewership is off the charts, and you're getting 2,500 fans in the stands in Game 6 in Montreal on Saturday night. There's revenue.
Yeah.
So, of course, the NHL wants it to go at least 6 games so that, we can cash in on 2,500 Montreal Canadian fans going nuts.
It's big
at
sketch
the Bell
ball.
Center.
If we apply this logic to another sport, what we're basically saying is what the NHL have decided is that, let's say the Monaco Grand Prix. We all know that the start of the Monaco Grand Prix and the end of the Monaco Grand Prix probably have the most viewers because the middle of the race is fucking boring. Now, what this would be someone round the circuit with an oil barrel. And he goes, it's 15 minutes in, the viewership's going down. Fred, tip the oil barrel over. Tips the oil barrel.
Fred.
Max Verstappen goes through it, spins off, crashes into a barrier. We've got a red flag. It's more exciting now. But that is taking the preference of the sport, what people enjoy. And
hey, Tom, let's light the oil on fire too.
Yeah.
But if you talk about like legitimate ways of I don't want to say like interfering, because sometimes it does make it more fun and just like entertaining to watch. Like you have the DRS.
Yeah.
In NASCAR, you have restrictor plates. And so like you have these 2 different types of racing. And so like one, they want to keep cars closer together. You have like way more like aggressive racing in the one, and then Indy, you want to increase the amount of passing because that's what makes it it exciting. And so these are legit ways that they interfere with the story.
I don't think any of those take away from the sport itself. Whereas what the referee,
sure,
every single every single team in IndyCar, Formula One, and all that kind of stuff, they all have the DRS. They all have these things. They're all restricted by the same way.
Yeah.
But this is why you have penalties that are equally called
Right.
in NHL games.
There's no
It's
judgment.
basically the equivalent. You're basically putting restrictor plates on the teams and saying, you guys will play this same close, fast-paced game because, this is entertaining.
Right. And
It's unfortunate because it really screws with there are ways of legitimately doing it where you say, here we go, no matter what happens in this race at any point in time, you have DRS and you have restrictor plates. And then in the NHL, that's not the case. It's inconsistent because these are human beings. And they just decide what they're going to call when at any point in time, regardless of where the momentum is shifting. And so it's like,
and it's really funny
it makes it
because
such an inconsistent, the amount of distrust that I have towards the NHL at this point is higher than ever.
And it's
can't rely on them.
Like you just look at how the game played out as well. All right, Montreal gets 2 goals in the first and 1 goal in the second. Right, 2 of those goals are unassisted. Why? Because they're off horrendous turnovers by the Maple Leafs. They're not skilled, right? There's no skill involved in the goals that were scored other than Joel Armia took a good shot and Jesperi Kotkaniemi pulled a wraparound.
Skated down the ice on his own, unopposed. And then the goalie went, are you going right? Are you going left? And the goalie went, I'm going to pre-predict him and go left. And the guy just went, blink, in right. I'm pretty sure I could have made that shot.
Right. And then the 3 Maple Leaf goals all had 2 assists on them. I'm not going to say Zach Hyman's goal was a skilled goal because there was pandemonium in front of the Habs net where Price was out of the net. There were 3 Habs in the net trying to get the puck away, and it just kind of trickled in, and it happened. But there's 2 assists on that because the Leafs have made an offensive play to try and set up that goal. Jake Muzzin's goal was the same, and then the other one was a tip by Jake Muzzin, again on a fast break with Galchenyuk and Nylander. So, the Leafs got 1 power play, finally, in the second period, and took over the game.
Right, so, and that's what I'm looking at here is this, it's effectively like a momentum oscillator. It's the same thing you'd have for, any stocks or anything. Yeah. But, it's hilarious how you see it, once it goes to one side, it's kind of boom, goes to the other side. And then, it's strong on the other side, and then boom. Look at this. These massive swings of momentum. What do you think they're caused by? Because a lot of this stuff happens before goals, or it happens before, big plays happen. And, it's either Joe Thornton or the referees at this point. So,
and I have to highlight the overtime winner because unfortunately Alex Galchenyuk is going to wear that like a scar across his face, despite the fact that he's been playing exceptionally well since coming into the playoffs.
Dude, I don't think he deserves any of that. Joe Thornton, though, absolutely.
No, but for Galchenyuk, that was a beer league amateur hour Timbits hockey pass, no look across an open blue line in the offensive zone on a when you've had a fast break intercepted and the puck's been moved up the boards. Why are you just taking it and throwing it across the blue line and not even looking that there's 2 Montreal Canadian players coming off a change, standing at the blue line, ready to intercept that? Caulfield and Suzuki, the 2 best players on the Montreal Canadiens.
I'm going to watch it here for the first time because I didn't get to watch it because it was on my way back from Toronto with my agent meeting.
Yeah, do you want to celebrate that, by the way?
Well done, buddy. I mean, I haven't officially signed. I just got the paperwork today, but yeah, I did. I met with a nice Canadian agent yesterday for film, TV, theater, cruises,
One of the biggest
Commercials, voiceovers, yeah.
in Canada, right?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones in Canada, and met for like an hour and a half, and at the end she asked me if I was interested in pursuing further. So that was great, and she sent over all the material right away. So I just gotta.
So all you have to do is put pen to paper.
That's it. Well, I'll put my digital signature to screen.
Whatever.
And send it over. But yeah. So that's really cool. And hopefully you'll see me on a Tim Hoare commercial soon.
Great.
Could you be on Chicago Fire?
Probably not.
Well, it's I think it's still going.
Is it?
Is it Chicago Fire? Is that what you said?
Yeah. It's 12th season now or something stupid.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be auditioning for an F1 driver. And his name is Steve Samuki. He's fully Caucasian though. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm gonna watch this play.
Yeah, watch the play. Gavin, you've seen it, right? Because you said you watched the highlights.
I watched it.
Yeah, so we'll get a live reaction here of Sean.
Dude.
Oh, did you see it already?
Yeah, except, okay, Sportsnet sucks at posting clips. They're terrible. There's this girl, Jens95, who posts way better clips that give the full story immediately on YouTube for free, where these guys are like, I don't know, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they're like, yeah, we'll just put like the last 2 seconds prior to the goal going in, and then we'll go back and watch everything 15 times. Just post the clip, man.
We've had the PWHPA showcase going on all week, and Sportsnet couldn't be bothered to televise it at all until tonight.
Okay, so they're going back and, just zooming in on Galchenyuk. Or Galchenyuk. All right, I don't want to see the celebration. Come on. Let's go. This is so embarrassing. Why would you post this? This is terrible.
Are they even showing you how?
There we go. Here we go.
Are they finally showing you the turnover?
Oh, dude, the blind pass across the blue line.
Yep.
Dude, just dump it in, Gal. What are you doing?
All you need to do is just backhand ship it, like shuffle it down the boards a little bit more, because there's guys coming back up in support.
Not even a good goal. Like, Suzuki doesn't even get like any air on it. It's maybe 8 inches off the frickin' ice.
I mean, Caulfield's pass back to him is pretty nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's the classic tic-tac-toe play you're gonna get with a 2-on-0.
It's a 2-on-0, less than a minute into a playoff overtime game.
Bro, I used to do that exact play 150 times in my dad's driveway, where it was like Game 7, OT, tiebreaker. Here we go. And, I'd go down the ice, and literally the same play where you just pass to the other guy, and then the other guy pass back to you, and then you shoot it in, because it's like a for sure goal every time. So that's trash. That's trash. Trash play by Gal.
The goalie's on you. You pass the puck. He has to commit to the pass. And then he doesn't have the opportunity. He barely has the opportunity to get back again.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so disappointed in Joe Thornton. I can't believe a part of this team still.
Yeah. So anyways, there'll be 2,500 fans that the NHL can profit off on a Saturday night.
And literally better luck next week.
Specifically better luck to the referees to actually do their job slightly better. Like even just a fraction better. And again, I'm not absolving the Leafs. There were penalties on both sides that could have been called all throughout the first period. And then the first penalty that they call is an incidental tripping minor on Zach Hyman behind the net, behind the Habs net, midway through the second period. I'm like, great, because it was so obviously in front of you that you had to call it. You useless human being.
Yeah. So good luck to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and
Maple Queefs.
I hope nobody's. You say Maple Queefs?
Yeah. He did. Yeah, that's canceled right there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No. Maple Keefs. I wonder if anybody's. Can I patent that? Can I get that on a T-shirt?
Maybe
with like Sheldon Keefe's face.
Toronto, like
as the Leaf.
Do it like the Bab Sox.
Yeah. Yeah, the Toronto Maple Keefs, where like it's just Keefe as the leaf.
Yeah.
I think anybody listening, that is my idea. Sean Sennett patent,
Yeah,
2021.
That's how a patent works.
No, it does. It does. Okay.
As long as you say copyright, then it's
brain
yours.
somewhere else. All right.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about the Leafs, and then we
Didn't
can
you get stepped on by a cleat? Isn't that what you said?
I thought you said your Pete-filled brain. And I was like, what?
Pete?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that works too. Like peat moss. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a lot of peat moss over there, right?
The last thing I want to say about the Leafs, and then we'll touch on the other series that are all wrapped up. People are upset that William Nylander's not getting enough play time, specifically on the power play, because guess who's in the slot that William Nylander should have?
Batman.
No. Sean knows.
No.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about it.
I
I hate Joe Thornton so much.
William
man.
Nylander has at least 1 point in all 5 games, 4 goals, and he's not getting first power play time.
Could you imagine having William Nylander off of your power play and instead you put Joe crippled Thornton on the
throw
frickin'
him out there to lose the
not even
face off
crippled.
on
What
the power
he's
play.
what's the word I'm looking for? Geriatric? Like he just what are you doing, man?
Right, because by the way, just so you know, Joe Thornton's face-off percentage was 33.
Dude, oh my gosh, he lined up for a face-off the other day. I think he replaced I think it was Matthews that was originally taking it or something, and then he replaced Matthews, and I was like,
On the power play? Yeah, probably.
oh my gosh, this is gonna end. Oh, here comes a goal. And then he won it. And it was like they won the game.
Right.
I was so pumped. I was like, yeah, Joe! Woo! It was like watching a kid play novice hockey. Oh, man.
Now, I will say Alexander Kerfoot's face-off percentage was 30, and Austin Matthews' face-off percentage was 38. So the Leafs in general were having a bad time on the face-offs, but at least those guys also have playing time to back up their
that's not
face-off
forte.
Problems.
We know
Joe
that.
Thornton played 8.5 minutes.
Good.
Your
Good. Should be
face-off
5.
percentage is
Should be 4.
33.
Should be 3. 2 minutes. You know what? Have him play one shift, and then we take him off the ice. We hook him up to an IV, and just let him be.
This poor guy.
Like you sit in your chair. Here's a book. Oh, you want to put on Murder, She Wrote? Sounds good. Like Golden Girls.
This is all just about Joe Thornton's ice performance. He's a great guy. We love him
Oh yeah, sure. It has nothing to do with that.
as a person.
Has nothing to do with that. It's like the same people who say that about Torts. Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. He literally benches his best players. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Ugh.
Winnipeg swept Edmonton. We touched on this a little
That
bit.
is so disappointing. I hate it. Every game
I
goes
love
to
it.
overtime.
No, I love it
Garbage.
because I love it because Edmonton and Edmonton fans specifically are so like, oh, this team's the greatest, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you have 2 of the best players in the league and a mediocre cast around them. And I've said this for years now. And finally, something's happened that proved it. They got
I agree.
swept.
I agree. No, and it just proves when you shut down the best players on a team that are literally the only ones performing for you, and don't tell me they're not, because look at the goal differential when McDavid's not on the ice. It is astoundingly bad. Like
minus 138, I think, was the number I heard.
Oh, good. So it went up. Like, because I remember the last time I looked, it was like 123. Oh, wow. Like, that is horrendous. And this guy is the Art Ross trophy winner. Can we just...
And
Wow.
there are fans that want him traded now.
For the Oilers?
Yeah.
Come on. You can't be serious. No.
No, I am.
No. This
Look
is
at Oilers Twitter. They are berating Connor McDavid for him only getting 5 points in the playoffs. Only 5 points in 4 games.
And you know what? I had who's the host of is it on ESPN? Is it Steve? It's not Steve, is it?
Oh, Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, it is Stephen. Okay. So
Shut up.
because he came out and he did.
That was a funny clip. I will say it was funny.
No, it's funny, but like he's basically saying like, you know, these guys are the equivalent to like LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard, and if they're not performing, then you know you get traded in the NBA, and it's like, this is not the NBA.
Well, and
Like
also
I don't know, it's also more of a team sport, I would think.
Absolutely.
Rather than a solo effort. Because once you shut a guy down in the NHL.
Right. LeBron James plays 45 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Like,
That's Darnell Nurse the other night in triple overtime.
Yeah.
Like literally played an hour.
Exactly. You have to get to triple overtime to match the playing time of an NBA star. So, yeah I just thought it was funny.
Well, it's funny, but it's just like,
and it's actually
people
good,
take that.
Actually good for hockey if Stephen A. Smith continues to talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
no, I agree. I just think it's funny having the Oilers fans who apparently take that really to heart, whether or not they saw that or like really believe that that's the case.
Right.
If you get rid of McDavid and Draisaitl, or even just McDavid, first of all, I would love to have McDavid on the Red Wings. You're welcome anytime. Oh my gosh. Anytime you want to.
Hey, Kenny. You, we're friends, right?
Hey, yeah. I got Danny DeKaiser and Bernier. You want to trade those guys for?
Yeah, you need goaltending, right? You want Jonathan Bernier?
Kenny would be like, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, I love those
depth.
Wings guys. Good Wings players. Justin Abdelkader. Oh yeah.
Who?
Exactly.
Seriously though, what is he doing? Where is he at this point?
Abdelkader?
Yeah.
He's with Team USA.
He's not even.
He's the captain of Team USA at the IIHF World Championships right now.
Did he sign with another NHL team?
I don't know. Who cares?
That dude. Oh, that is so. Oh, what? Thanks again, Kenny Holland, for signing that guy for 8 years on was it $8 million average a year?
Average annual value? I hope not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's nice.
No, it was something insane like that because they were like, oh, he's going to be a lifer. And then he dropped off the face of the earth. It's like he got offered the world, took it, and then just got complacent and imploded. And you're like, oh, cool.
So Edmonton has a lot to do this offseason.
He's ready.
Apparently, they've already talked about re-signing Mike Smith. 40-year-old Mike Smith.
Joe Bernier for McDavid. Let's make it happen.
Not that Mike Smith had a bad year. Mike Smith had a very good year. But, you know, Mike Smith has made a career about having good years on bad teams. And shockingly enough, it doesn't go well.
I mean, it really doesn't mean anything, man. When you are the savior of your team, I'm sorry. Like, as a goaltender, it really doesn't say a whole lot about your overall play. It just says a lot about how bad your team is.
Right, and goaltending will get you a fair way into the playoffs, but if you don't have the extra team around it, it's not gonna work, right? Like the Leafs should get by Montreal and then should be able to get by Winnipeg as well. Yes, they have Connor Hellebuck, who's the best goaltender in the NHL right now, but the defense just isn't there.
He's scrounging down some blueberries. Is that what that is?
Oh yeah, he is.
So
you're like a little rabbit.
If the Leafs win their next game, are they through? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically sudden death now. Okay.
Well, actually, if they won yesterday, they would have been through.
Yeah.
And then next time, if they win, they'll be through. And then if they lose that game, the next time after that, they'll be through. So whenever they feel like stepping up and then sitting Joe Thornton for a few games, they'll go through. Also, maybe get Tavares out of the arena. They were playing way better without him there.
That is true. I don't think I would be surprised
they
if he
lost
makes
their
the
first
trip
game
to
with him,
Montreal.
and they just lost another game when he's there. I hope he honestly doesn't, just for because obviously hockey and the hockey gods, we know about them, and superstitions are high in hockey. And so when you lose with your captain playing as part of your team, and then you lose with your captain there at the arena watching the team, oh man. I'm already superstitious about it. Yeah, Johnny T, maybe just stay away.
Yeah, don't
you definitely don't have the Stamkos touch, apparently.
Don't do that to me, man. Don't do this to me. Anyways, so Winnipeg's through. They'll be playing the winner of Toronto-Montreal, obviously. Carolina just got through last night. They won in overtime as well. Carolina's through to the second round. Basically, all the other rounds are set, except for, well, the Western team, like we talked about, Vegas, Minnesota, Game 7 tonight. The winner of that will play Colorado, who swept St. Louis, which was extra funny because Ryan O'Reilly made a Mark Messier-style statement and said, oh, well, we'll just watch us beat them. And they very did not.
They very did not.
Yeah. Not once, actually, did they beat them.
No. And then it's funny because in the game, what is it? Was it the first game or second game where Riley was doing his little chicken dance?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was taunting the other players with a chicken dance because they wouldn't fight or something like that. You know?
That's good. Yeah.
Maybe you should focus on actually playing, Riley.
Actually scoring goals and stuff.
You just look like a moron.
Jordan
at that
Binnington,
point.
instead of trying to incite Grubauer to fight him, he should have maybe considered trying to stop pucks.
Which now you have this little rivalry between Grubauer and Binnington, and I
love it.
I'm all for it, and it's on Instagram too.
Yeah,
like it's like social media presence is there.
You saw the tweet, right?
No, I didn't see the tweet.
So
I saw his Instagram post.
So Grubauer tweeted, and I think it was on Instagram as well. So you may have seen it, but Grubauer put out a photo of Binnington trying to come at him, and Grubauer just being like, right, kind of,
right.
And
I see.
Just captioned it, "Memories of the first round."
Yeah, that was the post. But you know what? Like you can't blame Binnington for coming down the ice and doing that, because like that whole situation, I was like, yo, Grubauer, like, calm down, man. All right, I get you're trying to protect your net, but like, calm down, because it's gonna invite Binnington over when it's a 6v5. Okay, like that's how hockey works. I don't know if you watched the 03 Avalanche Red Wings series at all, but that's what happens. Like,
so we love that. So Tampa Bay beat Florida, so that kind of breaks. My bracket is so broken, by the way.
Yeah, my bracket is screwed, aside from the fact that I still have the Leafs versus the Avalanche in the finals.
Right.
And
I think I have that.
Looking forward to that series. I think Nathan McKinnon versus Austin Matthews will be an incredible story.
Boston beat Washington in less games than I thought. It was only 5.
I honestly thought Washington was going to beat them.
I did as well. But Tuukka Rask is playing out of his mind.
See, this is what happens in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter what your season looks like. It's so stupid. The goalies, like, they're just on their heads the entire games. Like, they're just, they're like, oh, now I'm going to be a goaltender.
Right. Carey Price had an awful first half of the season, and then like an awful entrance into the playoffs because he was hurt. And then he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I'm Carey Price and I'm unreal.
Yeah. Well, you said he was terrible in the AHL too, when he had his little stint
awful.
there. What the hell?
Colorado, Tampa Bay, Nashville. So the last one, and this one's probably the worst one, is Pittsburgh also lost. Pittsburgh has fallen out of the playoffs. They absolutely should not have, because the New York Islanders are not a very good team. Like, they are, okay, they are, but they don't have any stars. Josh Bailey scored like 4 goals. Meanwhile, the Penguins traded for Jason Zucker last year. They traded for Jeff Carter this year, but in net, they had a man named Tristan Jarry, who I feel kind of bad for, but also is taking the brunt of the blame for this because, first of all, in Game 5, he threw the puck away in overtime directly to a New York Islander who just fired it right back into the net. Like, he comes out to play it, throws it right to the Islander guy who just goes, okay, pass, boom, in the net. And I'm like, yo, dude. Yikes. And then in Game 6, 2 goals in 13 seconds, 3 goals in under 3 minutes.
His oh my god, man.
His
playoff
goals
save percentage is god
His save percentage
awful.
is terrible. On top of that, his goals saved above expected is -8. So the definition of that stat is you're based on certain factors, i.e., shot quality, stuff like that. You're expected to save X amount of goals, right? If you're
Right.
0, then you're making the saves you're supposed to make.
Yeah.
So what that means is that Tristan Jarry was going to allow 8 goals against based on his expected saves, based on the saves he was expected to make. 8.
Right. I mean, when you're, I'm just looking at the stats right now. When your save percentage dwindles exponentially.
Oh yeah.
Throughout playoff games, like when you start with a 9.74 and then the next game it's an 8.67, and then you're consistently within the 8.5 region on average before dumping to 7.9. Like 24 shots against, and you saved 19, man.
That's what I mean.
In 58 minutes of time on ice, like
goals saved
like,
above expected.
Oh.
-8.
Oh.
So it was not good for Pittsburgh.
Oh, and I get it. Like there, he did have like an all right season. He's like a 909 for the season.
Yeah, he played well. It was his first
that's right around the
season as a
average.
starter,
So right. I mean, last season he played 32 games or something like that.
Yeah. So that was kind of a tandem last year, right?
Right. And their other guys, legacy, right?
No, they had Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith.
I thought DeSmith was out. And who's the legacy guy?
Well, last year they had DeSmith, and then this year DeSmith was injured / much worse.
Yeah.
So they brought in who did they bring in?
Maxime Legacy.
Maxime Legace, actually.
Oh, whatever. Legace.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they brought him in because he had a few good games with Vegas that one time.
I mean, he played one game in the regular season, and he did get a shutout with 29 shots against. So, like, that's pretty good. And then, but his NHL career is not great. Like 8.76. Oh boy.
That's what I mean.
But when you're, do you have anything to lose when your main goalie's playing that bad? Come on, man. Like, honestly, just throw him in net, because maybe the players will rally around the new guy, because that's usually what happens. Like even the Golden Knights, like 8.67, 8.71. And then his shutout.
It's not good, eh?
But they just don't have goaltending.
They really don't. And I've heard already that Jonathan Quick is apparently a prospective get for the Pittsburgh Penguins, which
yeah. I mean, I think they made the right move getting rid of Murray for sure. He didn't have a great season at all.
No, Matt Murray was rough in Ottawa.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, it's too bad they didn't have Marc-Andre Fleury still. They would have definitely made it a little bit further, I think.
So, and it's going to be quite a shock for the New York Islanders to go from a goaltender that can't stop anything to a goaltender who is stopping everything. Against Boston, which is who they're going to face. So, because we're not going to have a show in between the start of round 2 and this one, Gavin, you're going to create the next part of your bracket.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay.
His bracket's already fallen apart.
That was the first part of this was your round 1 bracket, right?
Oh, okay. So I've only got.
So you got Edmonton wrong, Pittsburgh wrong, Boston correct, Carolina correct, Tampa Bay, correct.
Look at me go.
Colorado, correct. And then Minnesota and Toronto, we're still waiting on. So if you're confident in Toronto and Minnesota going ahead, we can write them in.
Yeah, I am. I think that the bullshit's going to stop. And
I mean,
Don't
you're very
count on it,
optimistic.
man. It's the NHL. Don't be an idealist when it comes to the NHL.
So do you still want Minnesota to go through against Vegas, or do you think Vegas might win tonight?
I still think Minnesota are going to figure it out. Don't ask me how I know, but I just know.
All right. So this is your final 8.
Okay, so I think Boston, Toronto, Minnesota, and then TBL. Can't remember the name of the team.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Bro, Boston and Toronto, would that be the next round?
No. So because of the seeding, well, actually, I'd have to look because they
go back to...
Because they're going to reseed it. And
right.
Because Gavin's knocking out Colorado, who's the President's Trophy winner.
I mean, hey, anything can happen.
I know, but I have to look at the reseeding here.
Right.
To see what his final 4 matchup would be. So give me a moment. Talk amongst yourselves.
Hey, Gav.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah. Did you clean it up down there so we can enjoy ourselves? Or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now that's going to be on the internet.
Well, you know.
Have you heard back about the little jobby job?
Yeah, I was. I got the job. I was talking.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got the job.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so
that's
I've
amazing.
It's not with. Yeah, I'll talk. We'll finish the podcast and I'll run you through everything that's happened.
Sounds good.
Really good. My current work aren't massively happy about it.
Who cares? Screw 'em.
Yeah, I've been asked if I'm sure I want to leave 4 times.
Sounds like they need you. Like,
yeah,
it sounds like they're kind of like, please don't leave.
Well,
you're our best guy.
My favorite one was one of the we have like people that book our appointments for us, and obviously I put in that like there was a person that needed to see me, so I banned, like, we have a thing where you can like set what person needs to see it, and I said it. I was like, it needs to be me, and it needs to be this other person, because the guy is like, I've got to do like quite a lot of technical work, and the guy has a history of being violent and aggressive. So I don't mind the violent aggressive side, but the problem is that if I'm doing a lot of like work down on my knees and like working on the chair, I can't keep an eye out for myself. So I don't like being with violent and aggressive people when I've got a lot of work to do. If it's something quick, I won't mind it, because I know what I'm like talking to people, and I can, as long as I can do what I'm doing while flashing my eyes and keeping an eye on someone, I'm not going to get surprised. And basically, there's only certain members of staff that are able to do those with me. And the woman that does the appointments walked over and was like, there's no one available to do that appointment with you before you leave. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, so you're already, like, the spaces that we have for you that are available, we don't have anyone that could go with you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, so could you do it on your own? I was like, no, he's a violent and aggressive man, and I've got to do a lot of work. I'm not going to go into that situation on my own. And they were like, oh, well, we could send one of these people. I was like, none of those people are qualified to go with me. Like, they're not in the list of people that we have that can go.
Yeah, you're not going to put yourself in harm's way. It's a
oh,
job.
well, we could see, you know, and they were like, oh, well, this is a real problem. And I was like, not for me.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're not going to be able to book it in. We're going to have to book it in after you've left. And I was like, yeah.
Sucks.
But they were like, we're not going to have an RE. We're not going to have someone doing your job. And I was like, again, not my problem.
Sucks.
Not my issue.
Speaking of ultimate chaos that Gavin loves to create, I figured out the seeding. Because he's knocking out both Colorado and Minnesota and Vegas before the Final Four. Toronto would be the top seed.
Yep. Okay.
and Boston would be the lowest seed. So
No,
they
no.
would, in fact,
No,
meet
this can't happen. I'm out.
in the Final Four.
I can see Jerred's erection from here.
You know what?
Nope. That's
Bring my cast,
inverted.
guys.
That's gone inside me, actually. Sean's done. He's exiting, actually.
Could you imagine? Yeah, I'm exiting stage right. This is no, because
So-
I listen. I'm not even a Leafs fan. I can't go through that as a Canadian, as a person who has to live with a Leafs fan who also
two of
has
them.
exactly. One of my best friends is a Leafs fan. I can't watch them cry anymore. I really can't. I can't watch them suffer. And please God, don't let that happen. Okay, Cav, I hope your bracket is incredibly wrong. But also, I kind of hope they get redemption and like beat them out in like 5 games.
That would be
So
that would
it
be
could
great.
go either way. Yeah, because the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So,
Definitely
Gavin,
different.
do you want to pick? Let's just build the rest of your bracket now.
I'm gonna go Toronto, Minnesota.
Oh, you're going with Canada versus American Canada. Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
My thoughts is that this is so silly because I know that none of the players actually come from these places. But the place
so
where
silly.
hockey is most often played in the States, from what I can see, because it's not played often in Tampa Bay, is they play a lot of hockey in Minnesota. Minnesota as a city is known for its miracles in sports. And
what?
I think-
what miracles exactly are we referencing?
Just let him have it. Just let him have it. No, yeah.
Minnesota miracle, Jerred.
Which one?
Are you kidding me?
In the NFL?
Yes. Minnesota, no time off the clock, time on the clock against the Saints.
Yeah.
To the right to Stephon Diggs. The defender misses it for no unknown reason, and Diggs runs it into the end zone.
And then they lost in the championship.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't matter.
I mean, it does
Well-
because it didn't. Nothing happened.
Well,
It
no,
was-
because if that is the Minnesota Miracle and they meet the Maple Leafs in the finals, and then the same thing happens where they lose in the finals, you're not going to complain, are you?
No.
Exactly. So let it happen. It's all good. Let them have it. This is best case scenario for everybody. Okay. Toronto, Minnesota in the final.
Who's
Cup
the winner, Gav?
game.
You know when they're like,
Who wins, Gav?
they're analyzing Toronto. Come on.
Oh yeah.
You know when they're like analyzing handwriting. Like you can see Jerred wrote the Minnesota with hate.
No, it's because my N was messed
Pressed
up.
a little harder.
Look, my N was I
Looking
screwed up
at-
my N. Look at it. So I
Looking
tried
at
to
how
rewrite
the
it.
M, the I, and the N were written, we can tell that this man had a small penis and psychological issues. That's what they say in the TV shows.
Is that what they do?
Yeah, they like look at the handwriting and they're like, clearly a murderer.
Oh yeah.
His left testicle was bigger than his right one, and it descended further.
And that's why the curvature of his J is longer.
Yeah.
Oh
so
boy.
good. And now that's on the internet. Wow, this is great.
My favorite one of those ever was they did like one of those analyzing things where they analyzed the guy's handwriting and they like looked at it for a really long time and were like, yeah, we got nothing from this. And the guy goes, why? And they go, evidently the guy was dyslexic, so we can't get anything from his handwriting.
Well, you got that he was dyslexic.
So you can't
Yeah,
be read.
and he got away with the murder because they couldn't prove it.
Right.
Spelled dyslexia with a 3 and a 4, and you were like, huh?
There's not a 3 and a 4 in dyslexia. Give me a moment, I gotta spell something again.
Did you write a 6 or a 9?
My
Right.
doctor-
Before we wrap it up, like I mentioned earlier about the PWHPA before I was complaining about how it's not all on television. The remaining 3 games are on television. By the time this podcast goes up, game 5 will be over. But it's on right now as it is 3:43. So it is on now. You can watch it on Sportsnet itself. Toronto is in first place. They won their game last night. They are performing very well. the Toronto team. Montreal's also very good. Calgary is not. They have not won a game. They have a real hard time keeping pucks out of their net. And that was evidenced by the 8-3 thrashing that they took at the hands of Toronto 2 days ago. But it's Calgary, Montreal right now again. And we'll see how that goes. But it's basically trending towards Toronto, Montreal being in the final of the PWHPA tournament on Sunday afternoon, which you'll again be able to watch on Sportsnet. So enjoy that. Top performers, Marie-Philippe Poulin, to the surprise of no one because she's sick.
Yes. Man, I love poulins. They're so good. The fries and the cheese.
Someone shut him up.
It's a very insensitive French joke. Yeah, we just need to... Sean's going to have to write a statement tomorrow apologizing for that.
Never. Can you actually, go through my agent, please?
Poulin.
Yeah.
Not
With the
poutine.
cheese and the gravy.
Nope. It's not it.
Close enough.
She's doing very well. Victoria Bach had a goal. Jamie Lee Rattray had a hat trick. This is for Toronto.
Gav, have you ever had a poulet?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had
No,
poutine.
we're not.
You're referring to.
We're not.
Of Vladimir
going in on
Putin.
this. Right. We wish better luck next week to Sean, who's getting canceled.
And the Toronto Maple Leafs, baby. Look at
Yeah.
this. Let's go. If I had a jersey on, it would make sense
we
that I was
wish
doing
better
this,
luck.
but I
We
don't.
wish better luck on Saturday, because if it's next week, then that'd be game 7. We don't want that.
No, because they'll lose.
Right. Because their records.
Man,
in
if the
game
Montreal
7s are like
Canadiens go to the
0-10.
next round, I might actually just put my face just into a puddle, and then that'll be it.
I'm going to. There's a church that's built out of brick across the street. I'm gonna just run straight through it, like
And
not
then say,
through
"Oh,
doors
yeah."
or anything like that. I'm going to run through
Oh,
the brick
yeah.
wall
Bring Kool-Aid.
and then not survive because it's brick, and I'm not the Kool-Aid man.
They need to bring back that commercial.
Oh yeah,
Just toe good.
they do.
Toe good. Just so
So
good.
good.
Just
Toe
toe
good?
good.
Okay, we're gonna end it now.
Good
We
idea.
wish better luck
It's getting
next
out of
week
hand.
to everyone. That's Gavin, Sean.
Better luck next week, Gav.
I'm Jerred.
We love you. Bye, Jerred.
Bye.
Love
Bye.
you.